Practice 9. A simple version of fire breath. 1. Stand with your feet shoulder width apart, legs relaxed yet rooted, knees slightly bent. Hang your arms at your sides, loose and limp, fingers slightly curled. Be sure your spine is straight and your neck and shoulders are relaxed, maintaining good posture. Gaze softly into the distance. 2. Now breathe in through the nostrils, pulling up on the muscles of the perineum and contracting the abdomen on the inhale. The energy should rise in the form of heat to the area of contraction, which in this case is the umbilical area. Continue to breathe in this way until you feel the heat. 3. Next, attempt to pull the warm energy up your spine and into the area of your back heart. This is done by straightening the small of the back on the inhale, which is still accompanied by an abdominal contraction with a softer perineal pull. As the energy rises to the back of your solar plexus, it will become even warmer. Now, with additional inhales, accompanied by abdominal contractions, open the back shoulder blades by flexing them, curving your shoulders slightly inward. This will raise the energy into the back heart area, and you will feel heat expanding into your arms and hands, which may throb or perspire. You may also feel flushed. This is normal. 4. Straighten the curve at the back of the neck on the next inhale. An abdominal contraction is required, but the perineal pull is no longer necessary. Try to inhale with the back of your throat and ears, your gills, if you will, for you are now breathing more energy than air. 5. One snort through the back sinuses, accompanied by an abdominal contraction, will send the breath into your inner eye, which will heat up, thereby expanding. This eye is located about 1 inch back into the forehead, directly centered above the nose between the brows, perhaps 3/4 of an inch above them. The eye may throb and open if you are ready. This is essential for seeing certain kinds of energy during a healing. Tip your head slightly forward and allow the heat to become moist as it moves toward the front, the liquid side of your body. You may feel an actual drip, as if warm oil or honey is oozing 1 drop at a time through your forehead. 6. Now straighten your head, and the drip will accumulate on your soft palate. Swallow this life-giving elixir, and it will spread into your throat, opening this center and melting downward. 7. The inhale for the front of the body is now a soft inhale, accompanied by a deep abdominal expansion. This allows the energy to fill the front, as though you were pouring it into a wine skin. 8. Inhale the warm liquid energy into the heart area by expanding the upper lungs. This will stimulate soft, gentle feelings of love. As the energy melts down further, it will hit the solar plexus and spin to the sides. Massage the warm current into your internal organs, the spleen to the left, and the liver, pancreas, and gallbladder to the right. Remember to continue expanding your abdomen on the inhale. 9. From there, the energy proceeds downward diagonally from each side to collect in your reproductive area. An in-breath with an abdominal expansion will fill the bottom of your energetic lake. 10. Finally, a gentle abdominal contraction on the exhale will return the energy to be stored in the center of will, behind the navel. Chapter 10. Sisterhood and Brotherhood. After each day's training session, I was always allowed some time to myself to write, to process, or to practice what I had learned on my own, if this was appropriate. I spent many hours writing at the old medical desk in my room, or taking walks alone in the desert. In the case of the fire breath, I found that it was quite a portable task and very easy and enjoyable to practice almost anywhere, at any time. I even tried it lying down and found that the out breath was most conducive to restful, deep, dreaming sleep. The in breath, on the other hand, was very energizing in the morning and especially compatible with an early morning walk or a warm outdoor shower and a cup of ephedra tea, which was available almost every morning in the kitchen. I enjoyed my solitary time, but even more than that, I relished the heightened energy we experienced being together in the same locale, all of us under one roof for a while. Chan addressed these issues in his next lesson. We were cleaning plants at the dining table under the portico of the patio in the late afternoon. I want to talk to you about trust, Chan began, as we separated the leaves from a large tolache plant. I know that you trust us all implicitly, and that is good, for it is a very important issue in this work, and one that is often violated. Many apprentices do not get their initiations into the sexual energies through ritual, ceremony, and practices as we are doing with you. Rather, at some point, they find themselves being manipulated by their mentor and learn about misuses of the energy when they claw their way out of the situation. I looked at him with raised eyebrows as I put some prickly seed pods to one side. There are various types of manipulation that I want to tell you about, so that you will be able to recognize them and help potential clients if you ever choose to do this work. One common form entails a leap in dreaming. The sorcerer will go with his or her dream body to the apprentice while the apprentice is asleep and engage them in a form of energetic intercourse that binds the apprentice's sexual energies and will into the service of the sorcerer. These are possession techniques, not unlike the ones Doña Celestina has been teaching you. Some sorcerers will also attempt to have unsolicited sexual relations with their apprentices. The technique is one of building the power of the sorcerer up while wearing the apprentice down. The more I can convince you that I am the powerful one, the more of your energy you will transfer to me, hoping that I will recognize you and transfer power back to you. The sorcerer who manipulates in this way naturally looks very charismatic to the apprentices whose energy he or she is wearing. After all, the sorcerer is strutting around in their own energy. Naturally, the apprentices, or would-be apprentices, find him or her desirable. I've heard of this kind of situation among gurus and their devotees, and among charismatic preachers and their flock, I commented. It then took me quite a while to explain the concept of gurus and preachers to Chan. He listened with keen interest and amusement. Afterwards, I asked him, "Why do you think people fall for these tricks?" "Perhaps it has something to do with their egos," he suggested, "and wanting to feel self-important. Perhaps it is exactly the opposite. They feel worthless. Or perhaps they simply have never been told that this is an inappropriate practice between teacher and apprentice." I must admit that I have never heard a sorcerer discuss this etiquette before. I agreed. Exactly my point. For who would discuss it if they intend to break it? Chan replied. Some sorcerers even elicit a slave and master relationship from their apprentices, and this is another abuse. A taskmaster is very different from an oppressor. If you ever take clients the way Doña Celestina and I do, and you listen to their plights, you will come to recognize these situations. You will also see them when you scan the person energetically. Knowing the nature of the beast is the first step to disassembling its power. Yes, I can see that. Otherwise, I too might be mystified. But I have never heard of these things being spoken of out in the open. I urged him. That is why they are called occult practices, Merlina. How can people be sure of what they are getting themselves into then? I challenged. That's a very good question. Chan paused to reflect. The first safeguards that are barely present in this modern world were the sisterhoods and brotherhoods. Do you mean nuns and monks, priests and priestesses, or fraternal orders? I asked, and explained the differences between each to Chan as he again listened, rapt with interest. We have seen Christian nuns and monks, and also priests among the Maya for centuries. Recently, Buddhist monks and nuns have been journeying to the temple sites. But I did not know of the concept of priestesses in your culture, or of these fraternal orders. I would say that when they are behaving according to their ideals, they are not dissimilar to what I am talking about. But the Maya have seen many Christian priests behaving badly throughout their history in the Americas. What I am speaking of is not quite the same. One difference is the age of admission, for example. The old way was to have female children learn from the council of women, shaman priestesses, and the male children would learn from the warriors and shaman priests. Children would spend all of their time with a same-sex elder, older same-sex siblings, and the shamans, healers, priests, warriors, artisans, and so forth of their same sex. During this period, they would be given all the necessary lessons to assure their survival and start them on the path to wisdom in an environment that was non-threatening, sexually speaking. There, they could learn about sexual energy and power in a situation that was not sexually combative or exploitive. This is something that seems to be sorely lacking in your culture now. And through contact with the modern world, indigenous peoples are having to fight to keep it from vanishing within our own. It is such a shame to send a young person out into the world without protection or the knowledge to discern what's what. I couldn't agree with you more, Chan, I said. This is something we should try to rebuild into our lives if we want to improve our society. Perhaps it will happen, he said hopefully. Once children reached adolescence, they underwent a puberty initiation by their same-sex shamans among fellow same-sex initiates. Even after the initiation, they always had contact with their circle of elders, and of course with their peers. They might even grow to be shamans, healer priests, or warriors themselves someday. But even if they did not, they took part in the council circle in order to receive shared knowledge and to continue learning. Problems seem to arise when knowledge is withheld or concealed for the wrong purpose. And so it was beneficial in adulthood to apprentice from a shaman, healer, or sorcerer, so that the veil might be lifted from the eyes. Why is knowledge concealed, Chan? I asked. This was a question I had been burning to voice for years. There are several reasons why knowledge and energy mask themselves. One is for privacy, which is quite understandable. One is for protection. Sometimes one must conceal one's ability to do good, for example, or one will draw attack or be flooded by the impatient. Conversely, sorcerers may at times conceal in order to deceive and do harm. That is why seeing energy is so important, Merlina. Energy may conceal itself or mask itself, but it doesn't lie. Energy carries within it the code of its function. If you can read the signs, they are as plain as day. This is something a Hemin must learn to do, to read the signs clearly and to interpret dreams accurately. It takes many years of practice and study, even if you have the gift, which you do. In apprenticing oneself to a sorcerer, healer priest, or shaman, the apprentice may cross over to work with an opposite-sex mentor. A certain level of maturity is required for this, And yes, there is an appropriate etiquette, as you put it. The proper way is for a feeling of sisterhood and brotherhood to be established, so that no one would ever dream of violating that sacred space. Naturally, romantic love and deeper spiritual love does occasionally occur. The practitioners are expected to work out the details in a mature and energetically clean way. If they are going to continue in the work, this is necessary. Some practitioners marry. This is fine. Some experience a form of energetic union that extends beyond the boundaries of the bodies we now occupy. You always have a way of making everything so ultimately beautiful, John, I exclaimed. That is the way I see it. I truly prefer these types of relationships to the undercut garden variety so rampant in the world now. It's not people's fault, really. There is knowledge, which, for one reason or another, they have not been exposed to, and that it is tragic. For in most instances, it is a case of manipulation, control, or oppression. I've got to get you into politics, I teased. No thanks. I can do my best work sharing what I have to offer right here. Do practitioners ever live in communal homes like nuns and monks live in monasteries? I asked. I suppose that would be an option, but it is really not the point. The point is to get out into the world and do the work. Many native peoples had communal dwellings. However, these were extended family dwellings for the most part, or ceremonial meeting places. They still exist today to some degree. But if I understand you correctly, you are referring to communal dwellings, especially designed to further the individual energetic or spiritual practice of the residents, while allowing them to be in like company, no? Right, I nodded. Well, that can be established by an individual practitioner if they so desire. Look at Celestina here. She is a perfect example of the way in which it is done. She has become powerful enough to support herself with her work and has acquired quite a reputation. She is able to attract apprentices and has devised a household that allows them to live with her, while learning to support themselves by earning their keep and enhancing the power here. If they stay with her long enough, they learn everything they need, based on Celestina's seeing, and they do not want for anything, although she works their backsides off. And you notice that they are all of the same sex and exactly the right age to begin, considering the harsh circumstances they come from. No Indian's life is ever easy. And as I told you before, in an ideal environment, they would begin to learn even earlier. Do you mean that Doña Celestina will train some of them to be witches? I asked, astonished. Of course, John laughed and wiped his big grin with his hand. What do you think this is? She's teaching you, isn't she? But I thought, haven't you noticed that there are times when none of them can be found about? And that she speaks with them privately much more than explaining mere household chores, even considering her perfectionist standards would require? Yes, but they're so young. That's the way it is. If Celestina doesn't catch them now, they'll become fodder for a string of mistakes and won't have another chance until they hit an even more desperate do-or-die crisis later on in life. I tell you, Celestina is a marvel. She even keeps a few extra rooms for her cohorts of her own generation. Now I had to smile. Chan was absolutely right. When you came to see me in the jungle, I was staying with a fellow practitioner who does basically the same thing. Don't you remember Esmeralda? Esmeralda is a delightful native woman whom I often see on my frequent visits to southern Mexico. She travels among various indigenous communities and supports herself by being perhaps the only woman within a community who will prepare and offer food for sale. To say that she is an excellent and creative cook of traditional and regional foods is an understatement. Running a little open-air restaurant wherever she happens to be is Esmeralda's way of supporting herself and finding young girls who want to work so that she can teach them. Oh, by the way, she asked me to tell you hello, Juan said. Please give her my best regards and a warm hug when you see her again, I replied sincerely. How is she? Just fine. You'll have to come down to our part of Mexico again sometime soon and see for yourself. Now, do you remember those boys that used to come to her house? The ones she told you were her sons? I never believed that, I replied. Nor did I believe that she was your sister. There's no resemblance between any of you. Now I know what all of you meant, though. You are family in spirit and practice. That's right. Just as you are our little dear. The sorcerer's code of ethics. Huh? We both had to laugh. Well, I was going to tell you that those boys were apprentices to us both, but I guess you've already figured that out. You even told me once, Juan, but at that point I didn't know what to believe, as I'm sure you can understand. We don't mean to be so tricky, he pleaded. We're telling the truth. It's just that we're being discreet. Do you think that it's possible for people from my culture to learn to respect one another in these ways? I pondered. I certainly hope so. As you have told me, your culture already has many similar structures in place, such as these monasteries and fraternal meeting houses. The problem seems to be that these societies and orders, as you call them, though they are same-sex, provide no instruction in the best possible expressions of sexual energy beyond celibacy, or perhaps marriage. There seem to be no energetic teachings. This repression, combined with a lack of knowledge, causes people to act out in the most atrocious ways. It's not just our culture either, and I think that the world is getting into trouble because of it. I have a theory that this is why shamans and healers are now willing to share some of their traditional knowledge. Good idea, Juan replied, and we cleared off the table. Practice 10. Shamanic Circles. 1. Form a circle of women and girls of all ages where knowledge is shared openly with wisdom and without taboos. These circles can be formed around a theme such as herbal medicine, midwifery, sacred ceremony, ritual art, or even the preparation of special foods. It is essential that the wisdom of all present be honored, that no themes be unacceptable for discussion or sacred work, and that a level of trust, respect, appreciation, and lasting friendship be fostered. 2. A circle of males and boys of all ages would be based upon the same values, the wisdom of all the cycles of life. Here, same-sex knowledge may be shared openly without fear. Themes might include survival skills, vision quests, and sweat lodges, useful trades, gardening, or herbal medicine. 3. The important point is for the knowledge of experience to be shared and passed on. Juan feels such circles create a safe haven, a place to experiment and learn regardless of age, a place to seek counsel. They are the forerunner of shamanic sisterhoods and brotherhoods, mentors and wise men and women, a concept all but lost in our society and desperately needed. Chapter 11. Dreaming the Body. The following morning, Juan suggested that we drive to the herberia, shop that sells medicinal herbs. El Tecolote, which was not terribly far from Doña Celestina's home on the outskirts of San Luis. I hope that you're not getting tired of me, he said jokingly as we approached the Jeep, gently putting his hand on my shoulder. What, are you kidding? I looked at his beaming smile. This is wonderful. It's such a pleasure to see you up here in the desert, so close to the US border. It feels very different from going to see you in the jungles and highlands. That's good because we have more work to do before I can turn you over again to one of my esteemed associates, he said with a wink. I could tell Chan's levity, that he was in a cheerful mood, but honestly, I had not ever seen him otherwise. Although he's never frivolous, he always seems light-hearted, even when he's extremely concerned. I'm sure this is one reason he's so popular with his patients. I unlocked the door and we loaded some sacks into the back seat. So, what's on the agenda for today? I asked as we got into the Jeep. Well, first we go to El Tecolote. Otherwise, I sense I'll never get there. He laughed. Then I'd like to talk with you about the double. The double, or el doble, as it is called in Spanish among native peoples from Mexico to South America, is the consummate shamanic art, which enables shamans, healers, and sorcerers to perform many seemingly miraculous energetic feats. Everything from bilocation to shape-shifting to possessions, journeying into other realms of energy, or bringing back energetic gifts and powers is accomplished through the double, which is neither a visualization nor a projection, but rather a fully honed energy body blazing with life force. The development of the double is the attainment that every practitioner works toward, and it can take decades for some to accomplish. I was thrilled that this would be the topic of our lesson, since there is never too much that one can learn about it. When we arrived at the herberia, I parked in the back lot. Herberia El Tecolote, the owl in English, has gained a reputation throughout Mexico for being one of the most comprehensive herbal vendors in the country. The store itself is unassuming, medium-sized, and always kept very dark. The shelves on every wall are lined with bottles and jars of roots, leaves, stems, seeds, flowers, nuts, thorns, tubers, bulbs, fungi, every conceivable part of what grows from the earth. Rare, hard-to-find plants may be obtained, and the specialty is combinations, potions, and the like, for most of the known maladies and many that I have never even heard of. We entered the shop, which did not have any customers at the moment. A short, somber, dark-skinned man with wavy black hair was behind the counter, dusting the jars with a feather duster. I knew that he could not be the owner, for he is a much older man and a long-time acquaintance of Chan's. I browsed the shelves while Chan talked with the man and told him what he was looking for. Evidently, the attendant was one of the owner's sons. While I waited for Chan to make his purchases and trades, he confided to me that among his favorite mixtures are those for gout and high blood sugar, which are very effective and contain plants that he cannot find in the Maya region. He also informed me that El Tecolote offers many excellent remedies for women's complaints, reproductive tract tumors, too much or too little fertility, and formulations for men to treat prostate problems, impotence, and the like. Then he giggled. I don't need any of those myself. The important point is that there are plants that can help someone who is ill to recover their sexual energy, which is crucial to replenish if the patient is going to heal and be vital. Do illnesses deplete sexual energy, Chan? I asked him quietly. Several old women had entered and waited behind us at the counter. Some do, he whispered, but usually it is the other way around. If your sexual energy is depleted, you'll get sick. We'll talk more outside. He glanced at the women and whispered to the owner's son that he should send one of the older women, who was standing supported by another's arm, around for a treatment. The older woman was quite decrepit, although she did not appear to be ill. Yes, I will, the attendant said, nodding, as he passed multiple bundles wrapped in an off-white paper across the counter to Chan. You should come by and visit with my father later in the week if you can, he said. He'll be glad to see you. Today he is with his sister. Come by in the late afternoon, after he takes his nap if you like. I will, Chan said. Give him my regards when he returns. We put all of the bundles into Chan's sacks and walked out to the jeep. I was burning with questions, and Chan suggested that we put the sacks into the back and take a stroll. We ended up in a neighborhood park and sat down under a shady palo verde tree. What's the connection between depleted sexual energy and illness? I asked him finally. He smiled, knowing how long I had been holding that question. Sexual energy is one of the batteries of the double, and it is the double that has the body's energetic blueprint. It transmits knowledge as energy to the physical body and drives it in the same way that you drive your Jeep. Leaking or losing this energy makes the vehicle not function at top speed. Also, miscommunications can occur, sort of like two people trying to talk on the phone without enough line in between them. Or like the machines that make tortillas, the energy body will make a quantity of whatever is needed and will make it properly. But if you need 20 and pull the plug at 10, well, all you're going to get are 10. So sexual energy is intimately connected to the double, I surmised. It is an essential component. Yes, Merlina, that's the lesson for today. Sexual energy is creative, and so it is a foundation energy for dreaming. The process begins, as you know, with the task of dreaming the body. Each night during sleep, the energy body goes through stages. The first stage is bodily repairs. The energy body spends at least several hours per night inside the bones, blood, organs, and skin, renewing the physical body. It will spend more time if the body is ill. Part of the fuel for this process is our own sexual energy. So if the individual needs to heal, herbs that are tonic and fortify the sexual energies should be used in conjunction with other remedies. Otherwise, the energy body may spend all the available energy trying to make repairs, and it may not even have enough, leaving the body in a state of fatigue and malaise. Following the healing sleep, the energy body has the opportunity to replenish itself with sources of external energy, available to it by virtue of its nature as energy, but which must be pre-digested, if you will, by the energy body in order to make them utilizable to the physical body. For this purpose, the energy body leaves the physical body in order to swim in the realms of external energy. Unskilled dreamers are amorphous blobs when they leave the body. They absorb little energy. They are often timid and can't stay out of the physical body long without running out of steam and having to return. They have no stamina, and stamina is the rule. It's a rule of survival. When you run out of the energy to dream, the energy body is pulled back into the physical body. Not only do practitioners seek to extend their energy absorption time by becoming more efficient and adaptable to higher and higher grades of free energy, they also seek to hone fully the dream body while out of the physical body during these extended explorations. This is begun by dreaming every facet of the physical body as it lies sleeping in the actual location and position in which it can be found. The dreamer is the energy body. The dreamer seeks to dream a full-fledged body of higher energy that gazes at and then is able to walk away from the sleeping physical body. There should be no timid attachment whatsoever, no umbilical cord, nothing. The only energy left with the physical body should be that which is required to maintain a slow heartbeat and soft, slow respiration. All forms of energy taken in by the dreaming double should then be concentrated within it during the dreaming and bridged into the physical body upon awakening. This energy may then be circulated, and the physical body will step up to operate more and more upon free energy, not using up its vital reserves. There are important reasons for this that Juan and I will discuss with you later. Your case was easy, Merlina. I truly believe, as I saw the day we first met in dreaming and in Mexico, that you were born with a developed energy body. That is very rare. I, in all my journeys, have never seen that among human beings before. And you are human. I don't know what it means, but that is the reason I was moved to work with you. Normally, I never would have been interested in doing this kind of energetic work with someone from outside my culture. For you, the task was to realize what you had, so that you could put it into action in a more sophisticated way. For there are many places one may go with a developed energy body. Your energy body has true genius. I haven't found a way to improve on its artistry, besides showing it things that it has not seen before, possibilities that it has not yet been exposed to, and of course, by showing it how to become more fuel efficient, to use an American term, and access more energy in myriad ways. Everything you have taught me, Chan, has been fine art and has expanded my growth in inconceivable ways. I am eternally grateful, I said lovingly and respectfully. What puzzles me, I added, is how after struggling to attain the dream body, one could devalue all that hard work by misusing the possibilities. Although you showed me over and over that my dream body was already out and about and acting on its own, you're right. I had to be convinced. Not because I didn't believe you, but because I felt I needed that touchstone. It took me 17 years to dream the body, completing the task as you describe it. Perhaps you did not need to see it, although you know I certainly wouldn't fib to you. Sean gave a sly grin. That length of time to ascertain what you already had in motion could still be considered short by some, who strive for even longer just to forge their energy body. You ask how, after such a struggle, they could desire to misuse it. That is the bent of one's character, Merlina. Some people don't learn of healing or artistry when they pursue this path. They are looking for the big payoff, but are coarse and don't recognize quality when it presents itself. Concentrated quality is the key, not vulgar quantity. Like a fine perfume, concentrated quality will not go sour, and it will yield much more in the long run. So yes, there are many who use their doubles for sexual exploitation and other antics we discussed yesterday. They miss the point, and when it comes to final acts before leaving this world, they are tethered by their attachments and haven't got the capacity even to conceive of what to do next or where to go. It doesn't end well. Both you and Don Juan keep speaking to me of final things. I feel as though you are preparing me, I said. We are, Chan said with a serious tone. We have much more to share with you before we'll consider letting you get away from us this time. He gave me a sinister smirk. I think perhaps, not to change the subject of course, but I think your energy body would help you in teaching dreaming the way mine helps me. I felt an energetic jolt. There was something about the way he said, the way mine helps me, as if he were speaking of now. Simply being with Chan can become non-ordinary. He has an astounding capability to bring his double into the waking world as an identical replica of his physical body, and one can never really be sure which one is dealing. This was my situation. I have seen him completely shift people who come to his herb stand when he is doubled. Even though they are locals, they'll walk away and forget what else they were doing or whatever else they needed and wander, sometimes even getting lost for brief periods in their own home territory. On many occasions, I have been with him, only to find that a scene or experience in the waking world will suddenly turn phantasmagorical. I'll realize, astounded at the moment, that I am actually with his double. In order to protect myself from being caught unawares, I've developed a method of buffering myself, which is simply to assume that I'm always dealing with his double, and therefore always dreaming awake. This is the only way that I can keep him from catching me off balance. He seems to prefer that I remain in this state of hyper alertness and will occasionally test me. The confounding thing about the whole process is that once started, it's hard to stop. Don Juan and Doña Celestina also started pushing me there, and I found that it became very difficult to find moments when I could be certain I wasn't dreaming. To keep from growing crazy, I simply decided that I was always dreaming, a moment of decision which, when it came, Chan rejoiced in. That was when they told me that this is the first step of bringing the double into the waking physical world, as they do. The double becomes indistinguishable from the physical body, and yet it has access to its powers in dreaming. It operates fully in the waking world, and one becomes one's double. A transformation occurs, because where the other self, the non-dreaming self, goes is beyond me. Chan says that once one truly dreams with the whole being, there is no non-dreaming self. It disappears. It simply falls off like a cheap suit. I took a deep breath. Again, somehow, Chan had led me into a very peculiar energetic state. I felt as if some unknown or perhaps supremely known, but not acknowledged force were just about to be revealed. "We'll get there," Chan said, and touched my hand to steady me. There are dreaming practices that one may use within the body to help heal it. One may dream inside a diseased area of the body and clean it out. It is also possible to pull energy into desired areas of the physical body during dreaming. One may begin these methods before developing the double, but once it has been developed, their power and effectiveness are magnified. As you know, I employ a tremendous amount of dreaming energy in my work as a healer. Tomorrow I intend to show you some more of what I do. I'll set up a consultation area in one of Doña Celestina's back rooms and we'll work on clients together. I was very excited by the possibility. How will people know that you are here in the area, Chan? In the Mayan jungles and highlands, it was always by word of mouth that people knew of Chan, since he traveled around so much. People would literally line up in the early hours of the morning if word was given as to when and where he would be. Often there would be a line into the late afternoon. Doña Celestina and Don Juan have been letting people know, and I paid a few visits in the area while you were working with them. It won't be like it is at home. I've asked my acquaintances to be discreet, so that we won't be overwhelmed with people. I want you to really have the opportunity to experience what the energy body can do in a healing session. That thought kept me captivated. The light was now changing, and so we decided to start walking back to the Jeep. Chan had calmed my fears and piqued my interest all in one graceful stroke. I looked forward to working with him and knew that it would be a day I'd never forget. Practice 11. Dreaming the body. 1. The goal of this practice is the full honing and development of a dreaming double, a fully articulated energy body with the ability to operate as a physical body on a higher level, a body that is capable of maintaining the life force on its own at the moment of transformations at death. 2. This process is a continual one. The practitioner is constantly seeking refinements, even as the moment of death occurs and beyond. This is accomplished by applying the artistry of the double to every endeavor. But first, of course, one must strive to develop it. 3. The process is always initiated with the same dreaming task. First, strive to dream that you are in your body, filled with well-being, and that you are gazing upon your own sleeping physical body as it lies in the position and place where you genuinely are. 4. There should be no silver cord of any kind. This is not an astral projection, which only removes a small portion of energy and awareness from the physical body and tethers this with a cord from the umbilicus, beyond the length of which one may not travel. Doubling removes every portion of energy that is not required to maintain a slow heartbeat and respiration, and affords the opportunity to express that energy in this realm, as well as in others. 5. Gaze at your sleeping body and verify for your satisfaction that it is truly yourself in the proper place and time. You needn't worry that your physical body will open its eyes and die of fright upon seeing you looking back at it. You are already in that position. Your body will remain motionless, but alive. 6. Exploring the feeling of being in your energy body. Do not attempt to go too far on the first try. Rather, concentrate on being fully present and taking in your surroundings. Protect your body first with your dreaming intent, and then perhaps take a short stroll. 7. As with shape-shifting, there is no need to return to your sleeping body. When your energy is used up, you will return to it automatically and gently. The more energy you build for the work, the more time you will be able to double. Some practitioners like Juan can remain doubled indefinitely, can wake up into their double, and can actually go about their daily affairs exclusively with their dreaming double. Chapter 12. Energy Healing. A mist of aromatic copal smoke blended with the freshness of pale early morning light. Juan was in the back area of Doña Celestina's home, singing to himself as cheerfully as a bird while he swept out the vacant room in the separate section behind the patio. The 4 girls were helping him move a long, narrow, sturdy wooden table through the doorway, following his instructions. It was placed centrally and then covered with a folded straw mat that would allow it to serve as the examination and massage table. I greeted everyone and walked into the room. Even though the space was almost bare, just a long table placed in the center, a few straight-backed wooden chairs against the walls, several sacks of plants near the door, and a small, square wooden table with one drawer positioned in one of the back corners. I felt Juan's unmistakable presence permeating every inch of it. "Have you had your breakfast?" he asked, with a smile as bright as the new light. I nodded. "Good. So have I. Let's get to work. Why don't you sit down in that chair over there, and we'll go over some of the basics." I pulled up a chair and sat directly across from him, in the rays of morning sunshine that streamed through the open doorway. "First, I want you to breathe as Juan showed you the other day. Do one complete circle from the base of the spine, up the back, and then down front, returning to the center of will. This cleanses your energy field. Now, let's add some copal. Chan got up to retrieve the censer. He then fanned the smoke at me with his hands and even blew it at me with a gentle all-over, sweeping breath. Copal smoke has a feminine spirit, he said as he worked, unlike tobacco, which is masculine. The essence is cleansing, penetrating, and protective, yet neutral and non-intrusive, perfect for healers. Now close your eyes. You can gaze at your client through the smoke by softening your focus a bit and allowing the haze to wash the eyes and the vision. Riding the smoke with the eyes will strip what is behind it of illusory coverings. It will allow you to see the energy in various centers and in the organs, as well as give you a view of the skeleton and the energetic entity that is navigating this form. Open your eyes and look at me now. I slowly lifted my lids, though they were not at all heavy. The smoke was thick, and Chan was staring me in the face from a distance of not more than 12 inches. As the waves of copal smoke passed across his countenance, I clearly saw a greenish-yellow light within each of his eyes, and I had a view of the fine bone structure beneath his skin. I gasped. Okay, that's all right, he said reassuringly. Now stand up, Merlina. I want you to do the breath again. There is a channel, like a tube or straw, that runs from the center of will in the front to a corresponding place in the back. Just shoot the energy through there with one strong inhale and an abdominal inward push. Then pull the energy up your back again. You can keep it going around and around this way. When the energy gets up to the area behind your heart, let some of it branch off into your arms and hands. They'll heat up and magnetize. These are what you'll slice and work with. When the energy gets up to the back of your throat, change the quality of your breath. Push the energy up the back sinuses with a forceful exhale through the nostrils that originates as an inward push from the diaphragm. This breath will keep your field pumped up, hard and less penetrable, like a bicycle tire filled with just the right amount of air. The channel in my umbilical region was open, and it was quite easy to follow his instructions. My arms and hands filled as if molten magnetized gas were pouring into them. The breath he recommended for the back of the throat, which he also demonstrated, sounded very like a respirator, or the sound one hears underwater, tank breathing while scuba diving. Applying the breath as he suggested, I began to feel a weightless quality, almost as if I were a gas balloon filling. The tendency was to rock a little from side to side. Good, he said. Bend each knee as you lean to one side, and then the other. Open those legs up and let them fill. Feel the energy start to rush in from the ground on the inhale and from above on the exhale. Now when the serpent energy flowing up your spine reaches the top of your head, let the snake's mouth point to the zenith and let the mouth open. The serpent will begin to swallow energy from the cosmos. It will digest the energy and send it to all of your organs and senses to support your work. The overflow will be directed with your intent through your hands. This pre-digested cosmic energy converted into healing life force, this overflow, is the energy you will feed to the energy body of your patient. Think of it as cosmic baby food. I had to laugh with glee. Yes, Chan said, life is good. Fill with joy and love of life. Let these soothing qualities form like a coating of pearl flowing down your liquid side as you work. Let the overflow relax and stabilize your patient. Keep the breath going around and around. Now, let me show you how to go in. Extend your right hand alongside mine. Keep your field pumped up so that the magnetic flow entering the patient's energy field stops at your wrist. Chan cuffed his right wrist by wrapping the thumb and index finger of his left hand around it to demonstrate what he meant. He had me do the same with my own hand so I could get the idea. The energy of your patient travels no farther to you than here. He repeated, emphasizing the wrist again. Under no circumstances, be a sponge and soak it up. At that moment, Pacha appeared in the doorway with a bucket of hot coals that Chan had requested. Chencha followed, carrying a large bowl of wintergreen alcohol. They placed the bucket on the ground at our feet and moved the small table near us. Chencha set the bowl of alcohol upon it. If the energy needs to be discharged from the hands, Chan went on, never fling it. Exit the patient's field gently. Place your hands into the alcohol and then shoot the drops like lightning from the fingertips directly into the bucket of burning embers. If you do it right, the fire will brighten. He demonstrated, and fire leapt from the coals to consume the alcohol drops. Quite dramatic, I remarked. Also very effective, he replied. The two girls looked on in amazement, then gazed at one another and scurried off to do more chores. I tried the hand cleansing technique. The fire was present as the purifying forge of the earth, and when it responded to the energy cast into it, it was a very welcome presence indeed. Now let me show you how to slice, Chan said. Take your right hand and make a smooth vertical incision in the field. One smooth stroke. Then, using the left hand as well, spread the incision apart on the horizontal plane. To enter, go in gently, like a warm knife into cool butter. Insert the whole hand, fingertips first, with all the fingers compressed together. Never spread. Try to insert them like a smooth dive enters the water. Make no ripples or splashes in the energy. When you exit, you'll do so in exactly the same manner, but in reverse. If you feel inclined to circulate the energy once you're inside the field, always do so in gentle clockwise turns. After the field has been opened, the further back you stand, the more fine-tuned will be the bands of energy flow. If you stand close up, they will be more diffuse, like a cloud. Keep this in mind as you work. Allow depleted areas to fill. Circulate stagnant areas and allow them to drain. Cleanse the hands as needed. The body will know what is required. To seal the field after you have exited, lift up from the bottom with both hands and then pour the energy over the patient's head, using a simultaneous hand motion downwards from each side until you reach the shoulder blades. Touching lightly there, the tips of your fingers resting momentarily on the top of each shoulder, let the patient shoulder the responsibility until their next treatment. Always gaze directly into their eyes at this moment with a silent mind and convey a mental message, such as, I am healing, or I am healed, if you sense that moment has arrived. You are just learning, Merlina, but if you had a long dreaming association with many plants as I do, then they would also speak to you during the session, letting you know if they could be of service, and if so, how. As it is, the patient's body will speak. You are a very good listener, Merlina, one of the best. Follow the flow. Listen to what you are told and do everything your body guides you to do. Even after having seen you work, I exclaimed with awe, and having experienced your work, there's so much more to this than I ever imagined. I was absolutely overflowing with perceptual input. The unusual thing about healing, Chan said, is that it shields itself from our view so that it may happen. The actual process seems invisible. We see befores and afters. Even if you watch a wound heal, you'll never actually see it. If you watch like a hawk for changes, you may see some of them, but not the process in all of its detail. Good healers know this, and so even though they are aware of what they are doing, they allow much of it to be invisible to the eye. This perhaps makes it confounding to the mind of the patient, but the major dose of energy thereby becomes totally accessible to the body and the healing systems. The veil is necessary, you see. The energies are shy and delicate. So, a good healer will always include something for the mind as well, such as a ceremony or a purification that can be seen and felt. That way, the mind does not feel cheated and will not as easily attempt to sabotage the process. But remember, Melina, the real work is subtle as a whisper, and it goes on invisibly. Only the trained eye can get even a fleeting glimpse of the energy body that moves with the speed and knowledge and grace of light. 4 patients arrived during the course of the morning and early afternoon. Chan requested that I energetically scan each one of them and then report my findings to him. He would follow up with his own scan, during which he worked on them himself and allowed me to observe. Following this, if herbs, dietary, or behavioral changes were required, he would spend time discussing his recommendations. At the end of each session, he performed a limpia, a ceremony of energetic cleansing that was never repeated exactly the same way twice. Chan instructed me in various methods of doing the limpia. One method, which I like very much, includes an energetic sweep of the field with a palm frond dipped in aromatic alcohol or a Mayan corn liquor called posh. The alcohol spirits must be distilled pure and powerfully in order to drive away any unwanted energies. During the limpia, one literally rakes and washes the luminous fibers of the energy body, using the frond as a sort of broom, and then as a palm fan or a wind machine to revive the spirit of the patient with strong gusts and tingling splashes of the aromatic liquid. While performing this limpia, I could actually see the fire of the recipient's energy body burning more brightly and cleanly, as though I were feeding the fire with oxygen. I can also visually discern the beneficial effect upon the luminous fibers, which straighten and ripple during the cleansing, like long, luxuriant hair being brushed. Chan has as many limpias as there are trees in the highlands. Another one of my favorites, which I love to watch him perform, is a fire limpia. The dramatic effect of this cleansing is peerless, and Chan sometimes uses it for spiritual maladies and against witchcraft. During the limpia, Chan will take a swig of posh, but not swallow. With a lit candle in front of his mouth, he forcefully sprays droplets of posh from his pursed lips. The spray naturally ignites when touched by the flame of the candle, and Chan will continue gracefully following the contours and outline of the patient's energy body until he has completed a full sweep. He says that there are certain types of energies that cling to our energy bodies, and that these energies do not like the burning sensation of alcohol, salt water, or flame. any of which can be used in a cleansing with a spray from the mouth. Chan has shown me how to do the spitting, which, when performed correctly, comes out as forcefully as though propelled by an aerosol can. I can even ignite the spray, but I have never felt the confidence or perhaps the sheer audacity, coupled with the necessary control, to aim the flaming blast at anybody. Chan performs this feat as casually as one might whistle a merry tune. He jokes and says that the serpent has to age before it can breathe fire with impunity. As afternoon wore on, after the fourth patient had been seen and had left, Chan announced that he was through for the day and that he, Don Juan, and Doña Celestina would be leaving the house for a while to attend some business in town. Chan asked me if I would remain, just in case someone else showed up. He instructed me that in such an event, if they had come for a scan, I should give them one. I agreed with quite a sensation of trepidation, still trusting that Chan knew what he was doing. About an hour after they had gone, there was in fact a knock at the front gate. Not even the young women seemed to be around to answer it, so I went myself. Wondering who might it be and for what purpose, I got quite a shock when I opened the front door. I was surprised to see Carlo Castillo, a former apprentice and longtime acquaintance of Don Juan. Chan and Doña Celestina, who had fallen out of favor years ago and had not been received by them since. I myself had not seen Carlo in a number of years due to the breach in their association. I must have just stared in silence for a moment. Carlo looked back at me with amusement. His appearance was radically altered since our last encounter. Formerly quite robust, Carlo was now almost emaciated, with the stooped shoulders of a broken old man. His hair, which had been wavy, lustrous, and black, was now completely gray, brittle, and uncombed. His left eye appeared to have ruptured a blood vessel behind the iris, or perhaps was developing a cataract. He was dressed nicely, though, in dark slacks, a matching shirt, and a tan jacket. "Expecting someone else?" He tried to joke defiantly with a half smile. I couldn't help but notice then that his teeth were false. "Carlo," I said with astonishment, "what are you trying to do? You know they'll never see you." "Actually," he said, "I was hoping for you." I remembered Chan's instructions. "I can let you in for a moment," I replied. "I was working in the back." I suggested that we talk there in the hopes of an opportunity to scan his energy body and see what was going on. He followed me like a puppy through a house with which he had once been somewhat familiar. When we reached the back room, he looked through the doorway. "So this is what you're learning now?" he asked. I pulled out 2 chairs for us so that we could sit in the mild afternoon sunlight. "Among other things," I conceded. I put my hand on his left shoulder. He seemed to welcome the gentle touch. "Would you mind if I had a look at you? I'm not as proficient as Chan, mind you, but I see something's going on." "Fire away," he said, and slipped off his jacket, hanging it on the chair back. I silenced my mind and took a deep breath, focusing on the balanced dispassion I had been developing in this place to assist me in my work. The last thing that could help either of us would be for me to be flooded with too many strong emotions. I placed my hands into his energy field at the left shoulder blade, front and back, and proceeded to scan his left side. The eye was definitely out of focus, and there was an impairment to hearing in the ear. When I reached the throat, I asked, "You talk too much." It was involuntary, as though I were speaking to myself, but he heard me, and I felt his body shake a bit with silent laughter. I sensed something in the heart area, anger or perhaps sadness. I verbalized this. How about a combination? He responded sarcastically. When I got to the spleen area, there was a definite indication that it was being severely overworked and depleting. I circulated the energy there, and he seemed to recognize the value of this. I scanned the left adrenal, which was in working order, perhaps even overactive and compensating for a breakdown elsewhere. I moved to the right side, yielded the reason. I began to see black clouds around the organs and the emotions. The liver was definitely malfunctioning. He was not yellow, so it was not jaundice. There's a problem here, I said gently, circulating my hand around the liver area. That's the one, he said, and looked up at me with a little amazement. His eyes were a bit watery. I finished the scan of his right side, sealed the energy, and pulled up my chair to sit down by him. Do you want to tell me about it? Cancer, he remarked flatly. I had no emotional response, and yet I knew that I cared more than words could express. I reminded myself that this was the appropriate position to be in energetically, if I was going to do my work. What are you doing for it? I asked. What I can, he said dryly. I could offer you some advice, but I doubt that you would accept it. Is there anything that I might do to help you? Who knows, he said. Thank you. I mean that. You are very kind. He sighed and looked at me longingly. I suppose that I just wanted to see you again. I thought you might understand. I do, Koyol, I said softly, calling him by the nickname Chan and I had for him, and tussling his hair. He looked at me with curiosity and more than a little hope. I guess I better go before I'm handed my hat. He rose from his chair, smoothed his slacks, and put on his jacket. I nodded and walked him to the gate. You know, I'd love to see you again. Any chance of you moving back out this way? He asked as he stood in the street. I already have, but the only time I've seen my apartment was to move a few things into it. I smiled. Yes, he said somberly. I remember how that is. Goodbye, Carlo, I said to him. Goodbye, he said cheerfully and smiled. As I walked back to the patio, I knew that Chan had provided me with an opportunity to be alone with Carlo. Later, Chan would say that it is really the patient and not the healer who is the miracle worker. Some choose life and some do not, but the universe is a mystery either way.